Guys, it's Giltspire here, and welcome back to Champions of the Fog. Today I am joined by the amazing, the awesome one half of JuniKoh. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Hi, everybody. I'm T. It's nice to meet you all. That was a very, very dramatic introduction, Guild.
Yeah,
Very
some
dramatic.
people compared it to like a wrestling intro, which I am not against that being compared to. I used to enjoy watching wrestling back when I was a kid, so definitely have pulled some inspiration from that. But that being said, we are here today, and we have a pretty cool match of Modern Retro versus Saloedi. And we're starting off with Saloedi killing as the Plague on the Dead Dog Saloon. Are you excited about this?
I'm really excited. First of all, I'm always excited to watch a Plague match because I'll tell you something. I am so bad at Plague. It is remarkable. So I'm always excited to watch a good Plague match, and I'm really excited to see how she's going to do on Dead Dog and what kind of build she'll be running and how the survivors will handle that.
Yeah, no, definitely will be interesting, especially with the most recent buff to Plague. Survivors definitely are like very hit or miss on whether or not they feel comfortable playing against her. I know like my team sample text definitely does struggle a little bit at times. So it'll be interesting to see if Modern Retro is up to the task of playing against the Vami Mommy herself.
We do love a good Vami Mommy. We don't often see her, and in fact, a lot of the killers that we're watching in Champions of the Fog this season are killers that we don't actually get to go against that much. So I'm super excited to see this match. I'm excited to maybe pick up some tips from the survivor side as well on how to, counter her and go against her. There's always lots of talk about whether or not you should cleanse and when you should cleanse and where you should cleanse. And so it'll be interesting to see the approach that our survivors take today.
Absolutely, absolutely. But with that being said, we are jumping right on in, and let us see. These survivors all spawn together with the Shroud of Binding, and Vami Mommy here up top on the saloon, dropping down, trying to find these survivors as soon as possible. And Den does find a survivor trying to go over to the water wheel, and I think we're going to see our first infection here.
I think you're probably right. Looks like we do have Corrupt, not surprising to see at all.
I mean, if you're not bringing Corrupt, you're doing something wrong. And Nia with a really good pallet drop here, blocking the Plague's vomit. But unfortunately, I don't think she's going to get to this next tile without getting hit this time. But surprisingly, the Plague not taking the vomit, instead going for the M1 hit.
It was an interesting choice. I would have thought for sure she'd go for the infection, but I suppose she thought it was too good an opportunity to miss.
Indeed, indeed. And Nia playing a dangerous game here with that dead hard, trying to get to this pallet, and does get to it, but does not drop it, and will bait out the hit from the Plague.
That was a very good bait by the survivor. Very patient at that tile.
Now, this is a place that I love. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the hay bale tech, but I love that location there. It's pretty much a lose-lose situation for that survivor, and we do see our first down of the game.
I'm excited to see some more from this Nia, though, because you saw some good waiting at that pallet, trying to determine where was she going to go. She did a nice fake for the vault, and that's such a huge part of what being a good survivor is. It's being patient and not making any assumptions about what your killer's going to do.
Absolutely. I mean, amazing job from both sides so far. I will say these survivors with their first gen has popped off, and an amazing 3 infections now, very back to back to back. These survivors trying to get this unhook, but instead of getting it, end up getting infected instead.
And they will know now, I believe, that Thanatophobia is at play. Always a fun perk to be trying to work around. And it looks like maybe that Zarina is going to be one of our borrowed time gamers, because there was certainly no attempt to try and body block for that Nia.
Yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense, to say the least. And we see Plague jumping off that chase there and opting to go for the Nia now. I think they're going to go for the tunnel out.
I think you're right. And I think that's always kind of an interesting decision here, because sometimes that really pays off. But if you get someone who's just really good at running, it can take so long. It's unfortunate for our Plague that Nia didn't drop that pallet there, because she got an excellent stun just now.
Yeah, amazing use of that Dead Heart. And we hear the Saloon Gen just going off. These Vars not caring in the slightest about Thanatophobia. And this Nia, once again, playing some dangerous games and will go down for it.
She does have 3 survivors in the broken state right now, which is definitely good for her. But it does sound like they're making quite a bit of progress on gens. Oh, unfortunately missing out on that blind, but it was a good try by the Yui.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the Firecracker, you might as well throw it, see if you can make it work. But unfortunately, she vaults back into the Plague with her life and will go down for it. This Plague, I think, is going to potentially attempt to camp out to death this survivor on Hook. The question is now, what will these survivors do? We see 3 gens done. We see Deadlock now, I do want to mention. And we see Zarina healing. I think you're right in saying that they were indeed the BT wielder. We'll probably be going for this unhook on Apply to Forehead.
Mm-hmm. That's a wonderful name, by the
way. I'm sure that they are a user of the head-on.
You think? Head-on, apply directly to the forehead.
You know, just a slight suspicion. Just a slight suspicion. But this looks like it will end up being a 1-for-1 trade, as Zarina will be going for the unhook and will not go for it.
That was an interesting choice. I'm also surprised that Yui is still down. I think I might have tried to go get her up. She's, clearly was busy over there by the hook. So that seemed like a pretty opportune time to try and go get her. Yeah, I think it seems like they're going to give it up on Forehead.
Yeah, it looks like they are definitely prioritizing these last 2 generators. I imagine Adam is sitting on it as we speak. And that there will be death to Nia. And we do now see the pickup on the Yui and the fully broken status on Zarina as well.
This is a dangerous game for our survivors at this point, because all 3 of them are broken. They do only have 2 gens left. They may have good progress on a couple of them, but still, now's the part where you have to decide, am I going to risk cleansing and giving her power, or are we going to tough it out and risk being 1 hit down the rest of the match?
Yeah, that is the dilemma when it comes to playing against Plague. And we did see a skill check miss off in the distance, and I'm not exactly certain what that may have been. Could have been that gen there in the corner, but I don't know. That seemed a bit of an odd positioning.
Oh.
Wow. So these survivors.
Done.
Okay. Do you know what just happened there? I'm kind of curious if you understand what happened in that moment.
I clearly do not, because I do not seem as impressed as you are.
Okay, so Deadlock is a bit of an interesting perk with a couple bits of counterplay, and we saw that there's 2 generators remaining. However, both generators popped simultaneously. That made it so Deadlock was not able to be applied to either gen on completion, thus them pretty much ignoring Deadlock at its core.
That is an impressive show of timing, I have to say. What?
Yeah. What? Amazing job. Between the Deadlock tech to this Yui dodging the Vommy Mommy's vomit, and wasting as much time as they possibly can for their team. We do, by the way, have no way out. These survivors are well aware of that. Though, unfortunately for the Plague, the timer is about up.
Out. Does mean they're going to be on those generators, but or I was going to say doors, not generators, but it looks like they've prioritized cleansing instead, which is an interesting choice. So you've got to hope that maybe one of them has Wake Up.
Well, Wake Up is banned since it's buff, but with that being said,
right.
I think that the Plague is stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think that these doors are far enough apart to where we should be able to see at least a 2-man out here. and or the Zarina potentially
Oh.
going for this upcoming unhook. But Adam does vault and does not go down to the vomit.
These survivors are doing such a good job of crouching and dodging her puke. It is really incredible.
Yeah, no, they are just on point of when to crouch, how tight they need to pull their corners. And this Plague, though definitely showing a very impressive match, is struggling to go against these survivors.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned for her. I mean, I think, honestly, I think a 3-man out is plausible here if they play it right. They do have to hope for a couple mistakes on our killer's part, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they get all 3 of these survivors out. They've been playing really well. They are clearly communicating incredibly well.
I would tend to agree. However, it looks like these survivors are going to play it safe and take the 2-man out, leaving Adam for dead. Unfortunately for the survivor team, that does mean that is a fresh hook and progressions that this Plague will get, resulting in a 8-hook 2K.
That is a lot. I feel as though that's a lot that they just gave her. And I suppose it makes sense, but I am also a little bit surprised. They were on their first hook. Nobody was even close to being on death hook. Zarina hadn't been hooked at all. The Yui had only been hooked once. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe there was a play to be made there, but obviously in comp you have to make hard decisions sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to trying to mitigate the amount of points that the other team can get. And maybe in this case, the survivor team was just worried about giving the Plague more hooks than what they would otherwise give them by going for Adam.
True.
So, definitely a dangerous game, to say the least.
An interesting one as well, I would say. There were some interesting choices made there that surprised me. I think particularly going for that hit on the knee at the window instead of the infection, because that, you know, when you get survivors stuck in animations like that, that's almost a guaranteed infection or hit. So I was surprised. I was surprised to see that they took the hit instead. Clearly it worked out because they got a 2K, but
from what I was seeing in chat, it looks like there's a possible Plague bug that was experienced in that moment where they weren't able to use their power, or that it was canceling. No. So, unfortunately, sometimes Dead by Daylight do be Dead by Daylight, and bugs do happen.
Gil, what are you talking about? Dead by Daylight, perfect game.
Absolutely. Bugs never. Every patch is the epitome of perfection.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure.
But I do want to point out here, we're looking at only a 3-point difference here for set number 1. So as we go into trial number 2 with Modern Retro as the Plague once again, I don't think it's outside the realm possibility for either one of these teams to claim victory.
I agree. That is going to be, this is going to be an interesting match. It could very well set the tone for the next 2 we will see as well. I think it's nice to see kind of a close match like that. It obviously makes things a little bit more exciting. But I'll be interested to see how this Plague takes on Dead Dog as well. I assume we're going to Dead Dog.
Yep, so we are back at Dead Dog Saloon for trial number 2, this time with Jukebox as the killer for Modern Retro.
Nice. I will be excited to see how they play it, to see if there are any differences in terms of survivor gameplay or killer gameplay. I think it will be really interesting to see. So if you were if you were playing Plague on Dead Dog, how would you approach it?
I mean, that is a really good question, right? If I'm Plague on Dead Dog, I mean, I think being able to hold down your 3-gen is such a big advantage, but as we saw that last match, Plague didn't really care about their 3-gen in the slightest.
I wonder if perhaps playing that a bit more could have given them more pressure in the end. because it seemed like it was a fairly strong start for our killer, and obviously it ended well for them. But like I said, I do think they kind of put themselves in a bit of a dangerous position at the end, where the survivors did have a chance to get all 3 of them out and ended up not going for it. But I wonder if putting more pressure on that 3-gen sort of at the beginning would have helped mitigate a little bit of that towards the ending.
Yeah, I think you are right in thinking that. So definitely be very interesting, to say the least, of what the Jukebox's plan is. I imagine they're going into this with fresh eyes, maybe a bit of a better understanding in comparison to what we saw prior. But only time will tell.
Indeed. That is true.
So, out of curiosity, have you ever considered joining some Dead by Daylight comp?
No. Are you kidding? Sorry. Wow. Sorry, that was so aggressive. No. I mean, like, okay. Like, yes, in like the tiniest picture, I'm like, oh, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, so my sister and I primarily play on Switch. Mm-hmm. That's right. We are Switch players. I'll tell you something. The Switch experience is the worst. But we make do. However, I started playing on PC this year. I'm still hoping for cross progression so I can get all my stuff from my one account to the other. But I just don't think I'm good enough. I'm an okay survivor. We've talked about it a lot with Rue when we're on, but my sister and I tend to play incredibly painfully altruistically. Like, we're the people at the end of this last match is a perfect example. There is no way Junie and I leave that match without getting that other survivor, or we die for them, or we all die. There's no way. And I think that would be potentially crippling for any team that I was a part of, because for me, I play because I like the idea that it's 4 people against 1. You're fighting for, humanity and the right to exist and all of that good stuff. And like, my definition of winning is everybody getting out, or everybody else getting out and me dying. So I feel like I just don't know that I think that would do great in a comp situation. And also, I don't think I'm yet technically skilled enough. I'm getting better at looping. I'm working really hard on that. I'm getting pretty cheeky at flashlight saves, but ultimately I think my altruism would be a big downfall for the team.
Okay, I could see the argument. I can see the argument. However, I hear that you've been trained the ways of Trickster, and soon you guys are being trained in the ways of the Executioner himself, Mr. Pyramid Head. So who knows? Maybe we might see an up-and-coming killer main in comp.
Well, that is true, but you have to keep in mind, does comp accept poodles? Because technically, we've not been trained. It's our dog Kylie who's being trained, and she's very, very good at it. But I think we apply Airbud logic here. Nothing in rules says that a poodle can't play, so why not, right? Well, in that case, you know what? Maybe she'll work real hard at it. She's been working really hard on her Huntress lately. And she very much has been enjoying throwing hatchets at people, so we'll see. Maybe.
All right. Well, we'll definitely have to put a pin on that and come back to that in the future. But it looks like we are just about ready for trial number 2, as we do have all of the killer and survivor builds. Just going to get confirmation on the perks, make sure everything is kosher. Then we'll be jumping right on in and seeing what Jukebox can do with the plague.
I'm very excited about this. A side note, if anyone, well, you guys don't know, but I'm sitting here looking at a screen with Gilt's plague, and boy, that skin is very different when you're looking at it on PC. On Switch graphics are rough, but on PC you just see all of the things. It's really impressive.
Yeah, no,
So
honestly, I will say I personally do love the cosmetics department or whoever designs the cosmetics in Dead by Daylight because they do such a good job on some of these. The Blighted Plague is one of my favorites, but also like skins like Krampus or
Oh god, Krampus is
the
so
Greek
good.
Blight. The Greek Blight is
The
definitely
Greek
up
Blight
there,
is
some of the
so
best.
good. Krampus and Greek Blight are amazing. There are Survivor skins that I kind of am like, I don't know about that one. The Yui skin from this current event is, I don't know about that one. But I think that killer skins are almost always just like, I love, you know which one I had never really seen until I looked at the other day on PC is the spirit skin with the bubbles that come off of her hair. It's like she's like a sea witch and she's like, there's seaweed and fish and stuff. Oh, it's the little bubbles are so good. It's wonderful.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of cool stuff that has come out of the Dead by Daylight cosmetic team. I'm definitely looking forward to more. But you know what I'm also really looking forward to? And I don't know, have you experienced the PTB? I know you're just saying that you recently moving over to PC.
Yes, so I've done PTB for the last two killers for Pinhead and Pinhead and Artist. And Nemesis. So the last 3 killers I've been able to do PTB.
Okay. So are you excited for the upcoming PTB as we do have the Ring chapter quickly approaching? We will be getting a new killer very soon.
We've talked about this a lot on our channel. I'm excited for new content. I think that is always really exciting. I'm excited for the Ringu chapter. I think that people have been asking for this for a while. I think it is a collab that makes sense. I personally feel that the state of the game is in a place where adding more content right now is not beneficial. And also as a Switch player primarily, we loathe new content because it will always bring a host of bugs. We had to turn off crossplay once. We had geometric fog that you couldn't see through. I mean, even right now when we go to play together on Switch, at least 50% of the time we queue up together to go to a lobby, one of us gets pulled in and the other gets disconnected. So it's like there's like a host of things that I wish that they would fix first. So yes, I am excited about the new content because I'm excited to see what that's going to be like. I'm excited to play the PTB, but I'm not excited that I think that there's just a lot of other stuff that needs to be fixed. And I would rather have those things done first.
That's fair. That's fair.
My long-winded answer. How about you? How are you feeling about it?
I'm very excited as I know you can see, but not everyone else can see. I have like 19,000 iridescent shards saved up. I'm sitting on like 1 million blood points. So like as soon as the PTB hits, I am getting them up to at least level 40, trying out their new perks on every other killer, trying to figure out how to use their power. As an educational Dead by Daylight player, like the PTB is kind of my sneak peek into, okay, like how can we use this killer? What are they up to? So it's going to be very interesting. I'm very excited. I'm actually very interested, though, whether or not we're going to get another survivor. But as we're talking about survivors, we'll have to see if these survivors are up to snuff against the jukebox.
And I believe that perhaps this killer is using the new butterfly skin, and I just have to say I think that one is particularly lovely.
It is quite lovely, no doubt about that. But looks like Jukebox here vomiting on all of these gens. That's something that we really didn't see that last round. For those who don't play Plague a lot, even if you don't know where the survivors are, just being able to vomit on those gens gives you some great information on, and they are or are not on generators, or at least slows down the game enough for you to find them.
And I'm looking at the corrupt area that she has right now. And it's almost as if she's got 4 gens in it, because she's got the one here on the one end, 2 on the other, and then she's got another gen in the middle, which means that the amount of generators that they are currently able to be working on safely is fairly low.
Indeed, but so far no sign of these survivors, and I think that they potentially may be hiding out the corrupt intervention.
That's always a smart play to make. if you can do it, as long as no one gets caught, it's a really great way to essentially make the perk useless. But it is going to give her more opportunities to go around and vomit on things and infect things. And, if somebody gets caught, then the jig is up and the chase is on.
Yeah, that is the hard part, especially if they are, like, not in place just in case of a chase. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, for all we know, and we have seen this this strat before, where we've seen, like, all 4 survivors just sitting in the basement waiting for a Corrupt, have a 2-minute timer, just having some tea, munching on some cookies, and then once Corrupt is gone, they all spread out.
Well, and this is sort of the perfect map for it, because I'll tell you, as a survivor, I love playing on this map solely for the fact that you can hide almost everywhere. The bushes on this map are unreal. I cannot tell you how many times I have been mid-chase with a Bubba, and I start walking, and I duck into a bush, and they go right past. It's brilliant. It looks like that Corrupt has worn off now, though, so...
Yeah, and we finally see our first survivor up there on the Dead Dog Saloon, but Plague opting not to go directly for them.
Going for an infection over the railing, but it looks like it didn't quite hit, but there we go. So that's our first infection on the Jake.
Yeah, it looked like Jake initially had jumped off the gen when they thought that the Plague was going to walk away, but Plague taking a second shot and does get both the Jake and the gen, so he will quickly become infected. But once again, Plague just strangely enough not really caring for the Jake and not really patrolling the gens that I expect them to patrol.
So what is your strategy at this point if you are killer or survivor? What would you be doing right now? Because we've only seen the Jake so far.
Well, you say that, but here is Nia, and I mean, at this point, I think you just need to make sure you're cranking out these gens. If the Plague is going to give you some time to work on them, best to do so now. Plague will vomit on that pallet, and a little bit of a note there, if that Nia does interact with an infected object, she will become infected even faster. So that might be the Plague's thought process here.
It seems like she is going to be holding W, though, and just trying to get some distance, maybe get to a cleaner section of a jungle gym or a TNL to play with, which I think is probably the right thing to do, because you're right. The more they interact with these infected objects, the faster they will get infected.
Yeah, but this Nia not giving the Plague any ground and does make some good distance, as we do see that first gen pop off, and Nia is fully broken, and I do think will go down.
But she ran to the corner of the map, gave her the best chance, gave her teammates a little extra time. Very smart gameplay on her part, and also really nice running. Oh, wow, that's 3 gens gone now, though, and only a first hook. This is a rough start right now.
Yeah, these generators hurt my soul as a killer, and when we hear that 1, 2, 3, I feel like a little bit of panic sets in on any killer. I will say Thanatophobia is slowing these survivors down, but it does not seem they care one bit.
Well, and it's also one of those moments where, some killers, you have some killers like Hag who are built for end game play. They've got excellent maneuverability, you get all your traps set, and then you just, you bang it out at the end. You can get everything done in one generator when it gets to the end. But Plague is not necessarily one of those killers. So losing that much time at the beginning and being in this situation now, even with another broken survivor and another one infected, I don't know how you get more than potentially a 2K out of this situation, considering it seems like they're definitely just going to sit gens and be as efficient as possible.
I do want to mention here, it looks like Jukebox is setting up to just kind of protect this line of gens down here on this side. So I think that there's a possibility that there's looking to push for the second stage, and then from there, I think you're right. I think they want to go for the 2K, and I mean that's all they need for all intent and purpose. Now, are we going to see the hay bale tech? We do not see it, but looks like Jake will go down, and
that window.
They might be going to the basement, I think. I don't hear no footsteps, so looks like...
No, you and I were both sitting there. Oh!
So I can see why they're making this decision.
Yeah, I can see as well. They're going to lose less time. They also may be able to spot survivors. They're also much closer to this. Clearly, what they're trying to protect is their 3-gen now. Ooh.
And they will be able to go after some survivors. I'm surprised to see there the Nancy taking the cleanse there, and not the Nia instead, who is now on Death Hook.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm wondering what the play is here for our survivors. It seems like they're getting into a worse position as this is going on.
So I think if we're kind of looking at this, I think we saw a similar thing happen, right? In this last match, where we did see Zarina cleanse because she had BT. I'm getting a feeling maybe the Nancy either is the one of BT, might be the one of Deliverance, and that's why they opted to go for that play. But if this Plague is able to find and kill off the Nia, I think it could potentially be game over.
You have to wonder, though, if maybe it was just some 5,000 IQ play and she does not have the BT, but doing that cleanse and rescue certainly implies it.
I mean, they definitely had the Deliverance, I can say that much. And unfortunately for the Nancy, she did cleanse. However, I don't know if you're noticing something, she's still broken.
Oh,
if you do have Deliverance and you cleanse off a Plague's pool, it will not get rid of the broken status effect.
No,
you do have to wait that out in full.
Did she forget, do you think?
Either forget or sometimes it's kind of easy to just completely not be aware of it and just go, okay, I'm infected, I can cleanse, and go, oh wait, I've done messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you've got Iron Will and it'll, you get rid of the coughing so you're a little quieter, but otherwise, that is an unfortunate mistake.
It is indeed, and we do see the Nia once again, and I think this is exactly what the Vami ordered, a down on the Nia. That there is at least a 2K incoming.
I think that perhaps they are going to see some major punishment for that cleansing.
Yeah, I mean, it gave Plague a prime pool to drink from, so we see that progression on that Survivor on Hook. Nia is now out of the game, and this Plague just needs to secure the kill on Hook, and they tied the first set.
Yeah, but it looks like they're going for more than that. It would be very easy to just camp out that Hook, but I think that they think they can make something happen here, and to be honest, I kind of think they might be right. Although getting rid of that Hook that they had in the midst of all of those gens, that is a little bit unfortunate. But they do have 2 people broken. They do have the Nancy infected. So, a couple of good hits, and you got 2 people on a Hook.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be in agree with you there. And we see this Plague really venturing far out from their gens. I'm quite surprised. Just trying to find where these survivors are, not giving a care to the world, and we're not able to find anything at all.
I mean, you have to think they're going to be on or near the generators.
That would be my thought too.
They're all infected, so they could all just sit on one. I am really surprised that they took the risk to go that far out. That seems unnecessary.
Just a little bit, but looks like this exploration may have borne fruit as we saw the Nancy, and we hear someone fully infected. That looks to be the Jake here, off in the distance, trying to go to this corner, but I don't think Jake is on Death Hook, so if they want to, they could camp out Jake here and secure the set win.
Yeah, this is interesting. This match is playing out very differently than I would have anticipated, which I feel like I say about almost every match, but this one especially. I don't know.
I would definitely agree with you here, but if these survivors are going to do anything, they're going to have to do it now, as Plague has shown they have Pop Goes the Weasel and are not afraid to use it.
And they are still in a very strong setup. They do still have a good 3-gen that they can keep their eye on, and they've just seen scratch marks. They know where they are. Everybody is broken. I'm surprised they didn't follow those.
I think, honestly, they're just content with that pop, ensuring the kill on hook that will push them above the 2k 8 hook that they need for the win. And they're also going to drink up and pretty much put the survivors into a lose-lose scenario. If they go for the stun hook, there's that possibility that Plague will get a double down if there is no BT in play.
That is true, and worth noting that they are using the Devotee's Amulet, which means that she has an extra 20 seconds of Corrupt Purge, which is a big deal. That is a long, long time to have her power, so I don't think there's any way we see a rescue here, unless she leaves Hook.
Yeah, but we do not see the rescue. That will be the death to the Jake, and that there will secure Modern Retro's set 1 win. The question is whether or not they can get more points to potentially extend their lead for the match point.
Oh. I think we could be looking at a 3K. Oh,
at
that dead hard.
At the very least, a 3K. Amazing dead hard there by the Meg. And I don't think it'll be enough, though, as we see roughly another 10, 20 seconds left on this Corrupt Purge, and they don't even need further down.
That add-on, I guess, again, we don't see Plague that much, and I especially don't see add-ons, like super wonderful add-ons like this being run. That is a beast, getting an extra 20 seconds.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And now it's a race for the hatch. Thankfully, with the sacrifice time, the hatch has not spawned yet, and JuniKoh will be primed for its closure, ensuring their victory. And, oh, I don't know about you.
This map is small enough that almost anywhere I think they could have gotten that closed.
Indeed, indeed. And unfortunately for the Nancy, she is quite loud there, coughing in the Plague's ear. And it is all but the swan song for her, as we'll see the last chase of this trial.
And we've seen this go a couple of ways. We've seen some survivors just stop and turn around and accept death. I like to see the survivors kind of, waste the killer's time a little bit and, run him out and not give him a last hook. But seems to me that's what the Nancy is doing, and
unfortunately for her, looks like the chase will be short-lived, as the Plague will get the down and secure the last 2 hooks of the game, allowing JuniKoh and Modern Retro a full 24 points for this trial.
That is very, very interesting. I think midway through, or a little after midway, we knew that a 4K was definitely possible. The Plague ended up with a really nice setup with those gens over there. Patrolling that street was definitely the right move. I do think that she had some help with some mistakes by the survivors, though, including that cleanse that the Nancy did. I think that was a big mistake, and I think probably cost them a bit in the end.
Nah, I would tend to agree. It definitely felt like it was the survivors' game to lose, and lose they did in the end, as slowly but surely the Plague was just able to eke out the pressure they needed for the 4K. And that there will result in a set win for Modern Retro, but the game is not over, as we are moving into set number 2, where the points get reset, and we are going to see Modern Retro with the Oni on Gas 7.
I am really excited. We have not seen an Oni match yet. I am thrilled. We do not see Oni a ton in our MMR, and I think Oni matches are so fun. I think Oni is kind of one of those killers that has some decent counterplay, and I just think their power is really cool, and the sound effects and the design. I'm thrilled. This is gonna be lovely.
Yeah, it's always interesting seeing an Oni. No ifs, ands, or doubts about that. And only time will tell what build the Oni will bring to the Gas 7, and if they are confident enough to get those cheeky flicks, because I feel like Oni's much like Blight in a way. If you know how to flick with Oni and their Demon Dash, then you are a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, for sure. If you can't, though, there's a lot of counterplay. It only takes a couple of little wiggles and dodges, and you can avoid their power pretty easily. My guess is at this level, we'll be seeing some pretty good Oni play, and I'm so excited. And it's also nice because they're going to have, they'll be able to have some good speed to work around those 2 rows of cars at Gas Heaven, which ever since Rue pointed out to me, I find to be the most obnoxious things to play against this killer.
Yeah, definitely can be a bit troublesome, no doubts about that. Especially for killers like Oni and or Blight with those cars where the car mirrors do make it difficult for you to slide on by.
So do you play a lot of Oni?
I don't play like too much Oni. Like right now, we are back to doing some killer win streaks on my channel. So we're going through every single killer right now and getting up to 10 wins in a row. So we have just finished off Trapper and Wraith, and now are on the Hillbilly. I know that there are some Hillbilly aficionados in chat, so definitely make sure to stop on by and give me some tips or tricks because I could definitely use them.
Billy, everybody. You know, I think there are not a whole lot of things that people agree on in DVD. I think probably 90% of survivors, when they hear that roaring chainsaw and that kind of eerie music, are super excited when they get a Billy. Because you don't see Billy too much anymore. I love getting Billy. Billy is always fun, so I'll be excited to see that.
Yeah, Billy's always a good one, and I think we might, in fact, even see some Hillbillies later today, so definitely be excited for that. Let's take a look-see, actually. If we're looking at the next match with Odium and Golden Wolves, we actually see some Blight, Demogorgon, and Executioner. However, later in the day, we are also seeing some Trickster and Ghostface from We Overslept, so very curious about that one. And then last but not least, we got Cerebral Assassins versus Remedy with some Bubba, some Hillbilly, and Huntress and Cenobite. So it's going to be interesting. This is actually one of the first times I've seen Cerebral Assassins not bring a Hillbilly as of late. So they're switching up a little bit and bringing some Huntress and the man who has the box.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to be super excited to check those out. I'm really excited. Those are all like such a lovely bunch of killers. I haven't seen anybody do Trickster yet in comp, so I will be very excited to see that. Of course, I'm sure nobody can compare to our very own little Rugard, who is an excellent Trickster and a wonderful teacher. But I'm very excited. This is great.
Yeah, should be a fun time. I'm very, like, seeing Trickster as, like, maybe a last pick or maybe a tiebreaker, that we've seen before. But seeing Trickster as, like, the opening act, for lack of a better term, is quite the surprise. So it'll be very interesting indeed to see what comes of that match.
And how do you feel about Trickster in comp? Why do you think we haven't seen too many of them?
I mean, 110 killers with counterplay are rough. I mean, Huntress has some counterplay, yes. Hag has a lot of counterplay, much like Trickster, and I think it's really map dependent because if you bring Trickster on the right maps and the tiles are low, then you're a good spot. Yeah. If the tiles are a mile high and you can't throw over, then you're in a painful situation for sure.
That is definitely true. I think it's been really interesting actually playing both Trickster and Huntress recently. I think between the two, I've really preferred playing Huntress just because I feel like there's more... not that there is less counterability, but for me personally, being able to set up a single shot, I think is a lot easier than trying to deal with kind of the slight recoil you can get with Trickster knives. That's definitely something I've been struggling with. And I know that, you know, I almost always die against Trickster, but people who know how to go against Trickster are really good at it.
Best thing I can recommend, find a tall tile, an LT wall, shack, what have you, and just hold W for days. If you can do that, then you're in a good spot for a Trickster in an M1 scenario, and he'll be crying inside.
That is probably true, unless it's Rue, because Rue will just...
Him and his ricochet blades. He is on point with those ricochet blades, to say the least.
Rue is terrifying as Trickster. Oh my god. It is like Rue exists in his own brain, but also yours, and like is 10 steps ahead of you. It's really impressive. So.
I mean, as a killer main, you kind of have to be in the mind of the survivors for sure. So, as you play more and more killer, you'll find yourself mind gaming and doing some cheeky little things that might throw the survivors off guard.
So who are you most looking forward to seeing today in terms of killer?
I mean, I personally do have a liking for killers like Executioner, killers like Artist. Also, Bubba, I feel like Bubba's a very nuanced killer and people don't fully understand that. They just think, yes, Chainsaw Man makes Survivor go down, and then camp in basement. But, like, if you play against some good survivors, he is a very nuanced killer at times.
I mean, I basically hate going against Bubba. I will always die. There are some killers, I don't know if anyone else has this, like, mental list, but as a survivor for me, I have a mental list. And this list is divided into two things. I'm going to die, or I have a chance. And killers fall into either of those two categories. Bubba, I'm going to die. Wraith,
okay.
I'm going to die. Pinhead, I'm definitely going to die.
Okay, I think in this case, I am going to be trading everyone on the Executioner. I think we might need to also do some survivor training against certain killers because let me tell you, I love going against Wraiths because man, I will bully them for days.
See, I used to love going against Wraith. Wraith buff now. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Okay. Well, we'll have to discuss this further for some survivor training, some survivor boot camp.
That could be a fun series, Survivor Boot Camp with Guilt. I like it.
All right. We'll talk more about that. But with that being said, we are jumping right on into trial number 3. Trial 1 of set 2, this time on Gas 7, Modern Retro, once again, killing as the Oni.
I am very excited about this. I am so excited to see an Oni match. I'm really excited to see what kind of strategy the survivors have going into this, what kind of strategy our Oni has. I'm excited. Let's do it. Let's go.
Should be a good old time, and there we see Oni spawning at the shack. A little bit of an interesting spawn location here. For those who have not heard me say it time and time again, Gas 7 has some of the most consistent spawn logic, and Jukebox, with that in mind, going right towards where the survivors' keywords should be.
That's interesting. That's something that, again, we don't really think about. To be honest, I don't often think about spawn locations, which maybe I should be thinking about more.
Yeah, I mean, as you play Killer more and more, it definitely is not a bad thing to learn, as we saw Oni here jumping right on these survivors. Only reason why they don't have a hit yet is because Nancy here had that sprint burst in hand and is making very good use of it.
And it looks like, I'm just looking at the add-ons we are running here, it looks like we have one that is going to increase the frequency of blood orbs by 33%. And they're going to drop an additional blood orb when they vault or throw pallets or exit lockers or crouch or fail a skill check, which is a lot of blood.
Yeah,
and then they've got one to increase the duration of Blood Fury.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen so much usage of the Splintered Hull as of late in place of Top Knot, which Top Knot for a long time was banned from most Dead by Daylight comp scenes because of how ridiculous it could be, allowing you insta-downs with Demon Dash. But now we see the Splintered Hull pretty much used constantly on the Oni without many exceptions.
This is... Woo, that was quick. I have to say, that's the thing. Whenever we do get an Oni, we have like a mantra that we're always saying, which is don't get hit first. Play safe, throw pallets, don't get hit first. Because as soon as you get hit, that's when the game starts. It's not when they first see the survivor. It's when they first get that hit, because their power is incredibly dependent on survivors being injured. And it looks like the Nancy is already healed up, which means they are definitely planning on a high healing output here.
Yeah, I mean, against Oni, you definitely want to equip your team with the ability to heal ASAP, denying the Oni as much blood as possible. JuniKoh there with the attempted flick on the Demon Dash, but just not able to make it happen, and will take the stun, but a very nice flick there for that pallet break. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll be enough, as this Jake is going for a run.
See, and this Jake is playing exactly how we would be playing if we were in the match, which is play really, really safe. Don't necessarily need to go for those stuns. You just got to keep from getting hit. Unfortunately, 2 gens have already popped. We've got no hooks. This is kind of a rough start, but I feel like every time I say that, the killers come back and get like a 4K. So I choose to reserve my judgment for now.
That is fair, that is fair. I will say, I've been seeing a lot more killers break open the store. And as a killer main myself, I question why. I feel like it just opens up this loop here so much for these survivors, as we're seeing Jake use it time and time again to extend this chase. And this Oni really needs a down as soon as possible. Or I do think we're going to see a 4-man out on maybe 1 or 2 hooks.
Yeah, I also question breaking that door. I can see why killers will do it. But I do also think, you know, if you can corral a survivor in there and the gen's not done, you know, that can be a free hit. Because that room...
Are we going to see a head-on?
Oh! If we were, it wasn't quite enough time.
I saw the Jake just jump on into the locker. I'm like, excuse me, what now?
If they were on Switch, I would have thought maybe they were trying to throw a pallet. Because, you know, or vault. All the same button.
I could see it. I could see it. But with that being said, we do see Nia in chase now. And JuniKoh, once again, with their power, will be going for the down on the Nia. I am surprised to see them using their power so much on survivors who are very much already injured. And not saving it for a chase on a healthy survivor instead.
I agree. It may be that they're not as worried because they are going to be having so much more blood throughout the match that maybe they're just not worried about, you know, using up all of their resources. But I am certainly surprised that they... Are they healed already?
Yeah, Nia got a very quick heal. I'm trying to figure out how she managed that. The only thing I can think of is maybe a quick and quiet into a locker with inner healing? But, like,
maybe?
That was wicked quick.
Yeah, I stopped mid-sentence because I was like, wait a minute. That Nia was definitely just injured. Wow, and they've already got 4 gens done. They've got... That one has good progress, I think. Oh! Oh no. Gilt, your prediction may very well be coming true here. However, we do see that pesky haste symbol on the side of the screen now.
I was about to say, we see haste, so that there is a NOED, and we do hear that noise notification for the no way out, so this Nia here will end up going down after all. And at the very least, I think we will see at least maybe a 1K here from the Oni, as I think NOED will help secure it.
Yeah, I probably depends on where the totem is and if they can get to it quick enough. If they can... You know, maybe a cheeky rescue is in play. Oh, and it's that one. I didn't know that a totem could spawn there. Oh, and they got it! Oh, you know, there's a chance here. There is a chance here they get a 4-man out. I don't know that they will, but there is a chance. And I choose to believe in the survivors because I am biased and I play survivor. I'm not saying it's what I want. I believe in them. I've seen weird, cheeky things happen. Survivors can be real crafty.
You say that, and just as you say it, we see that Nancy making a very quick decision there to get out of dodge, and we see them trying to run the same loop that Jake was earlier, where the Oni was struggling a lot, but Oni, being a little bit smarter here, will go for the hit and will end up missing.
Oh, man. Still have a... What?
I mean, that was a really good flick there. Nancy not sure when to throw the pallet and will get the down. Definitely looks a bit strange sometimes when Oni does stuff like that, as you can see. But I think that there will result in the 1K.
That was... I would be so mad if I were the Nancy.
Hey, you know, it happens. It happens sometimes. But with no Noah at this point, I do question whether or not these survivors are going to attempt for the unhook, and we do see the Nia quickly approaching here.
2 of them, and I mean, they don't have their power. If they pull a crazy Ivan, they can make it happen.
Yeah, but at the same time, with that splendid hole, I do fear that 1 hit and a bit of blood will get them their power, and they could go for another down. Unless this Nancy has a deliverance, maybe. I think this will result in a fresh kill for the Oni, and that will at least help them keep this this score close as we move into Trial 2 of Set 2.
Very interesting match.
Oh, and here's the... Oh, I thought for a second that we seen the deliverance, but Nancy was just faking it, and that there will be the progression to second stage, and these survivors are slowly but surely trickling out of the match.
Wow, that was... Well? Yep, there we go.
I mean, it makes sense far enough away from the exit gates, so... I don't know about you. What are your thoughts there?
That was a very, very well-played match by our survivors. That was incredibly strong.
And look at that. That would explain it all. We see that inner healing on the Nia. I mean, I was questioning where she went. The scratch marks pretty much disappeared, but that would explain it with that inner healing just jumping in that locker and Oni being none the wiser.
Yeah, inner healing is one of those perks where it can absolutely come in clutch. It can also be the thing that gets you killed, because if you don't get in the right locker, or they happen to see you get in the locker, I personally would never get into a locker directly in front of a killer's face because I didn't see them, and try to wait for my inner healing to kick in, but then get grabbed. Or also would never get into a locker with inner healing, having taken a borrowed time hit and forgetting that it will heal you 1 health state, which does in fact include mending. I would never do that. Those are things I would never do, Guild.
Yeah, I mean, people do tend to forget about that the deep wounds, that is considered a 4th health state. And I have seen many people go like, oh yes, I'll be okay with like second wind or inner healing. And it results in them going, wait, why am I not healed? Oh no.
It's the worst. I mean, like, oh god, it's the worst.
I mean, you wouldn't know that from experience, right?
Right, no. Junie does it all the time, but I would never. I would never. Couldn't be me. No.
Oh.
Nobody in my chat tell Junie. I saw a couple of people from my chat here. Mitch, don't say anything. No.
Well, with that being said, we are moving into trial number 2 of set 2, and this time we see the twins similar, not the same as Oni, but similar in some ways of how you play against them. Very much you do want to stay healthy as much as possible. So we are going to be seeing the twins from Saloedi once again on the gas heaven. What are your predictions here? Do we see a similar result where we see like a 3-4 man out, or do you think twins is going to take it home with the 4K?
I don't know, because twins is probably the killer we've seen the most of throughout this tournament so far in terms of when we've been casting, and we've seen the matches go so in wildly different directions. We've seen 4Ks, we've seen 4-man outs. You know, I think it really is just going to depend on how well our killer is able to use Victor to their advantage. It's obviously going to depend on the kind of perk build they bring. I have no idea what to expect. I think with twins matches, I used to just think 4K automatically. It's going to be a 4K. You plug them out, you just get it done. But the survivors in this tournament have been so good about not playing into slugging and really good about, how do I want to say this? Like measuring the risk versus reward factor, that has not really been the case. So I have no idea what's going to happen. Do you have any predictions yourself, sir?
I think if Modern Retro plays it smart and brings the right builds, that's one of the bigger things, right? Bringing the right builds. I think that this is going to be a very, very difficult match for the Twins. I think we're seeing, leader, botany knowledge, desperate measures, we're gonna live forever, stuff like that. I think the Twins is going to find themselves, getting a hit, Survivor running to the other side of the map, crushing Victor, and by the time they get there, they're just gonna be already healed and ready for another chase.
That's the thing. There is some pretty strong counterplay to the Twins, for sure. You can still make big mistakes, though.
I mean, yeah, not to toot my own horn, but yeah, we saw that yesterday where we actually did have a decent result of 2K on the Twins. And so it's definitely not outside the realm of possibility, even against some of the best teams in the league. So I think that if played right and played under the assumption that survivors are going to play certain ways, I think Twins can still get value. I know yesterday people were questioning my decision on the add-on choices, but I think we might see that budget force penance more often.
So I have a question for you.
Yes. I might have an answer.
Well, this is something, it's more of an opinion thing. This is something we were discussing with Rue yesterday, which is the use of deadlock so frequently as a perk in the tournament so far.
Yes.
Do you think it's worth the perk slot? Because consistently, we are seeing some incredible Survivor counterplay. And we were talking about the, the reward, which is, you make them do an extra gen. But how much more practical is it to bring that as opposed to something more like pop? Also, I hate that you run this skin on your Twins. You guys, I get to see all of the skins that Gilt is running. I hate that you run the skin and that now I have to. Can you please turn her around so I don't have to look at the grass gremlin sticking out of her chest cavity, please? Thank you.
But Victor wants to say hi.
No, put it away.
Oh.
Anyway.
But so here's the thing. Deadlock is good for Gen 1, 2, and 3. And as we saw earlier in this match, if done right, Deadlock does not really do anything on Gen 3 and even Gen 4's completion. Gen 1, 2, 3, it doesn't do anything for Gen 4 or Gen 5's completion. So it really does depend on if the Survivor team is going to play into Deadlock or play around it. If they play around it and either 99 a single gen out in a corner that you don't want to be, or if they opt to go with the strategy where they simply, pop the last two gens at the same time, basically nullifying its effect on the 5th gen, I think that there is an argument to be made that Deadlock will eventually be phased out of the comp meta.
Okay. I thought it was interesting because every time we've seen it, I feel like the survivors have countered it so easily. But we see it in almost every killer build we've seen.
Even I used it yesterday. So going back to the Twins match that I played, actually, I went in with the knowledge that my goal was not for the 4K, but to slow the game down as much as possible to ensure the 2K plus, anything else I could get. Hence why I ran a kind of a strange build of Corrupt Intervention, Deadlock, Thanatophobia, and I can not remembering what my last one was. Noed. Yeah, it was Noed. So my entire goal was to just slow the game down. Hence why I made it so it took longer for you to crush Victor by 2 seconds. Hence why I brought Budget Force Penance to keep you broken for 20 seconds, allowing Thanatophobia to do something. And I think maybe that's where Deadlock does come into play is I need to slow the game down. The survivors I'm playing against are going to be really good. They're going to be knowledgeable on how to play the game. I need as many opportunities to get a hook as possible.
Fair. That's fair.
So definitely will be interesting to see what comes of Deadlock in the future.
Okay. Interesting. We didn't have a consensus yesterday. I think we basically agreed with what you were just saying, which is, yeah, maybe. But I also think it just is super dependent on everyone's play style. And that's also just sort of one of the core things about DBD that I think is really fascinating and lovely, is that you can go into a match with the twins, right? And we can say they're going to slug till the cows come home. And then they don't, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not their play style. They have something else that works better for them. I think that it's really, really cool that people can come in and play this game and just have such different styles with the same killers and even sometimes the same perks, but like everyone has like their own little like flavor, like their own little extra packet of like ramen seasoning that they put on their killer to like make it a little more interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean
metaphor.
that is definitely the case. I know for me personally in comp, I really like my Scourge Hook pop combo, and then a fourth perk based on the killer that I'm playing. But there are definitely times where like the meta forces your hand to play something a little bit unique or think maybe outside of the box. It's very reminiscent almost of like, for me as a competitive TCG player as well, kind of, okay, here's what the meta is. What if I did something completely different than the meta and throw them way off of what I actually am planning on doing? And that might also provide some unique scenarios as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. I definitely know what TCG is, so
trading card games. So like think Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, stuff like that.
Look, I know what a trading card game is. I just didn't know what TCG meant, Gil. Jeez. I am old enough to have been a avid Pokemon card collector. I had myself a Alakazam or whatever. The
Abracadabra, Alakazam.
Yeah, I had myself an Alakazam, which at the time was a very rare card. So I know what a trading card game is. I just didn't know what TCG meant. That also is a running joke on our channel. We don't speak the language of the youth.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, so I think sometimes, going off the beaten track, trying out something completely outside of the meta can really mess with teams who are expecting something else, right? Especially where survivors lock in their builds, have no way to kind of counteract things if someone brings a Force Penance or basically the equivalent of, or a Franklin's, which, certain killers have Franklin add-ons, basically.
I think it's really fun to see people play outside the meta. I know when I'm playing a killer match and I get to the end of a match and you just see like Iron Will, Dead Hard, DS, Borrowed, Adrenaline, it's so disappointing. I would much rather, and myself too, I would rather lose a match memeing or playing like a really weird fun build than playing like super hard meta. So I'm maybe we'll see something a little less meta in this build. I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see, and I think that's one of the nice things about comp. It does force the hand of the players to play outside of the norm, especially as we have perk restrictions, banned perks, banned add-ons, really trying to create some form of balance while not being too heavy-handed, which makes it so that there's no wiggle room whatsoever.
I'm constantly just impressed with, even without using, without survivors using super meta build, like all of them are not using super meta builds or super meta perks. I am constantly impressed with just the efficiency that they're able to accomplish things in these matches, because that's the big thing you hear from people who play killer: split up and do gens. If you want to punish a killer, split up and do gens. That's how you win the game. With very little exception. The twins are one where you don't necessarily want to split up quite as much. But I'm so impressed with how fast people get it done. And it looks like we are seeing those two add-ons that people were surprised not to see you using yesterday: Toy Sword and Stew, I believe.
Yep, the Forest Stew, basically making the Speedy Boy Victor even more speedy.
He do go zoom though, that grass gremlin.
He does indeed, but is he fast enough to catch the survivor? That is the question, and so. They are
I think he definitely
indeed.
That's arena blending right into this map, though. Man, that green on green.
You know, you need to pick the fashion for your environment, right?
I don't know what that's like. I'm a TTV. I play in as loud and obnoxious an outfit as I can so that I'll get chased for content.
Fair enough. But we do see here this Twins splitting up some chases here, and I really do like this play. Keeping Twins on one survivor where they can't do anything and going for a chase on another. We do see Thanatophobia doing some work right now, and I think that these survivors are probably privy to another one of the perks, which is Ruin.
Ooh.
We don't see a lot of Ruin lately.
No, Ruin is a tricky one, though, because... hello?
You know, just doing some casual body block and making sure they can't get down on this arena. So I really do like that play, actually. And unfortunately for the Twins, though they did hear it being cleansed, that Ruin is now gone and out of the game. And Lori doing a fantastic job dropping these pallets and making some very good distance on Charlotte.
Yeah, Ruin's an interesting perk because as a survivor, you have to decide, is it worth cleansing it, right? Because on some maps, the amount of time it's going to take you to go and find Ruin, you could have done 2 gens in, you know? Yep. Whereas sometimes the map is so small, it's just worth it to go get it out of the way and not have to deal. Clearly, they found it very quickly, which is good for them. Oh, he sees the blood. He goes for the hit, but he gets stuck on the corner. And Nancy doing what all Survivor mains are familiar with, going for the kick, but not getting it quite in time. Let's see if there's
the ankle biter got the better of her in the end. But we solved that very, very quick pickup. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. You're bringing the build to counter the killer, and I gotta say that We're Gonna Live Forever on what I imagine to be on this arena, just freaking perfect. And that dead hard on top of which, ooh, that's painful to watch.
That is, if he could have gotten that Zarina down, he could have gone for the Lori, he could have then followed the Nancy and Charlotte. That could have been a very big snowball moment. Unfortunately, that dead hard was very punishing, and the Lori was right there to get that kick, no doubt about it.
However, I want to point out here, this is the first gen. I was about to say no gens have popped off yet, but that there was the first gen, and I feel like Zarina is in a bit of an awkward position here as we see the down all with the Victor, and Charlotte is not exactly that far away.
No, but it looks like we're going to go for this Lori. I don't imagine somebody can get in there for that pickup with the way this is set up, so it looks like that is going to be a guaranteed hook for that Zarina, unless there's somebody in the locker with head-on.
I was about to say, if we see a head-on the Twins right now, I would have died inside.
That would have made me so happy. I'm so sad. That would have been a clutch play.
I do want to note there, we did see deadlock, so looks like the Twins kind of doing similar to what I was describing, trying to slow down the game as much as possible with the Thanatophobia deadlock in play. However, that Ruin just not really a boon for them in the end, being more a curse than anything.
That Thanatophobia is definitely helping out, though. Thanatophobia, God, that's one of those perks that you hate to see a survivor because you just know it's going to be a slow game.
Oh yeah, and Twins is normally a grind as is. And we're kind of seeing that here as these gens are just slowly but surely getting worked on. But like I said, they're just leaving Victor on the survivor. And I think they're okay with this. It keeps them injured, keeps them off of generators. They can't heal someone else. And, you know, you might see JuniKoh here move to second stage.
You know, our killer put the survivor on exactly the hook that I would have picked. It's so central. They have really great pressure here. They've got good mobility. They've got great line of sight. They've got everything working for them on this hook.
They do indeed, and that there will be the first progression on JuniKoh, and they haven't exactly gone very far here. Victor with the potential pounce, not able to make it happen though, and Nancy will get the kick.
I'm surprised that Nancy got that kick. I thought for sure that it was going to be one of those stutters again.
Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but unfortunately these survivors not taking advantage of that situation and will end up potentially losing JuniKoh here as we see both Lori and Nancy coming in for the unhook. Let's see if they're able to make it happen, and they are!
And I imagine Nancy's got that borrowed. If the two of them went in, you imagine that Nancy's the one with the borrowed. Nancy is going to take a hook here. We're doing a trade, but that buys them a lot of time. And with Charlotte leaving the hook and no Victor, if the Lori was right there, the Lori could have also just gotten that save quickly. And they did. Oh no, Deliverance! See that, Nancy, with a lovely Deliverance.
I mean, when you got it working for you, got it working for you. Victor, though, sitting there waiting for these survivors and will end up getting the pounce at the window.
That was very, very nicely played. Looking for the Lori now, I imagine.
But not able to find them. It looks like, oh, there she is.
Oh, what? Interesting. I wonder, oh, they must have been just around the corner.
Yeah, just try to sneak out, and this might be a little bit greedy here, as I think they might potentially go for the pickup on JuniKoh if they're not careful.
I was about to say, you know, with the Twins, especially with the teams knowing what killer they're going against, you got to be really careful with stuff like that, because if you give them an inch, they're going to get those pickups, and they are going to be fast.
Indeed, indeed, but unfortunately for these survivors, looks like JuniKoh will be killed out of the game, and that'll be the first survivor out. However, 3 gens have been completed.
This is an interesting match.
It really is. I mean, it is close. If we're looking at the set 2 final, it's right now only a 1-point difference. 21 points to Modern Retro, 22 points to Saloedi, so it really is anyone's game right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like this match, I just have no idea what's going to happen. I feel like either position has a decent shot at it. Ooh, that skill check's going to cost.
You see that skill check miss, but Lori getting kick on Vic, and no value there gained from the Twins.
Well, I wonder what the play is here now for our survivors. They've got to get that center gen done. You do not want to have this gen and the one next to it.
Do you think we're going to see that deadlock tech that I was talking about on Dead Dog Saloon?
Oh, you know, we very well may.
I'm wondering if that's what these survivors are trying to accomplish at this point in time, as they are just slowly but surely trying to get these gens to 99.
That would make sense. There's no reason not to give it a try if you can. But now that they're down a survivor, things like that, you got to be careful. Especially when you have a killer who can split pressure the way that the Twins can.
Yeah, no doubt about that, especially as right now only one survivor really is able to be on gens, as Yui was, you know, taking charge of Victor, and she's going to be running, looks like, to the other side of the map, trying to bait the Twins into a lose-lose scenario.
And now is one of those times where you got to decide, do you take the bait? Sometimes it pays off to take the bait. Sometimes you can make it work for you. But sometimes you shouldn't take the bait. Sometimes you should just look at the person with the flashlight clicking and teabagging at you and not chase them.
Are you speaking from personal experience?
No, of course not. I always chase them, and then I lose.
Fair enough, fair enough. And looks like we will not see that deadlock tech here today. However, we do see that blood and scratch marks from the Yui bring us back over towards the shack.
And they do have, they've got 2 gens over there, but they've also got one way over here. And on this map, with the big row of cars, I mean, that's not a terrible spread for the survivors to have to work with.
I also want to point out the fact,
Oh, that has got to hurt.
Just a little bit. I probably would have been there with the Yui thinking that I am safe and all good. I don't know about this play here.
Excuse me?
Unless, you know, my only thought is maybe Yui has Unbreakable, and, like, that's the thought process?
Maybe. I hope so, because if not, I didn't mean to sound really mean when I said excuse me, but excuse me. There it is. Okay.
So there's the Unbreakable. A little bit of bait and switch there. Maybe trying to ensure that they do not end up giving the Twins too many points, as Yui has not been hooked as of yet. So maybe trying to keep these survivors fresh.
Ooh. But now you got a basement hook.
You do indeed, and we do hear the injured Laura right here trying to get to a locker.
Oh.
And no, she's not going to get the kick.
No,
if she would have went to a locker.
Laura, don't do it. Oh my God.
No. That might just result in a loss here for the survivors. If they would have jumped to the locker, they wouldn't find. There are also scratch marks over there in the gas station. I don't know if the twins saw it, though.
This is... That Lori, oh man, that Lori running back, you knew. There's no way, man. There's no way you get that kick. Don't do it. Just take your loss and try and dodge again, man. Oh, that was, sorry. That like breaks my heart.
Yeah, I don't know how the survivors get out of this situation. We see Apply to Forehead dying in the basement. This survivor sitting on the ground. This may have been the momentum the twins needed to get the win. I think if Lori would have just went into locker and called it a day, I think they would have been able to bring this back. But unfortunately, they got greedy trying to kick the Vic, and I think this spells defeat.
You know, that's the thing, and we've said it time and time and time again. DBD is a game of small mistakes. It's not necessarily a game of big plays and, you know, fancy, crazy 5,000 IQ plays. It's about who makes more mistakes. And even something as small as turning around and going for that kick means that they may get a 4K. Now, they have just put themselves in a much better position because they can now go for a door and hatch. But still, they could get a 4K.
This is true, and unfortunately,
and this door,
Modern Retro
being worked on too, I think.
It was indeed.
No.
Whether or not the 4K happens, I don't think there's a possibility for Modern Retro to get the set win. It's now going to come down to the match win. I think there's a possibility that Saloedi might come from behind and get the match win if they get this 4K, and I just don't see a way for this survivor to get out of this situation. I think we're just going to see twins bloodlust them to death.
The only thing they can do is pray for looping for days, pray for the twins to make a mistake and get hatched. That's all you can hope for, and there is nothing here for her to work with. This is such a bummer. You can see that the killer obviously knows as well with that little nod. Oh God, you hate to see it.
Indeed, and taking a look at their prize and not going for the pickup. I'm curious here what the twins thought is that they're going to go for the hatch first to avoid deliverance, but it's not like they could even deliverance at this point in time. And there's the hatch close, and whether it be to EGC or otherwise, this match is over.
Wow. There were some really crucial mistakes that were made on the survivor part. Small mistakes, but you are right. I think if that Lori had hopped in a locker, they would have had a shot because clearly they had a gem that was ready to go almost. And oh, this is a heartbreaker. I'm so sad.
It is indeed, but not for Saloedi. They not only take set 2, but they will also take the match point as we see a 63-65 match in Saloedi's favor.
That is as close as we have seen in, at least for me in this tournament so far. That was a impressive set of games. That was so fun to watch. The back and forth and the who's gonna get it. Oh, that was just so lovely. I hope that everyone spectating enjoyed it as much as I did because it was so fun.
Now that was a fun one to say the least, and really did come down to the very end. And so with that being said, that there is going to be the end of match number 1 for the day. Saloedi versus Modern Retro, and congratulations to Saloedi for the come-from-behind victory, and GG well played to Modern Retro for the match.
GG's to everybody, all around, the survivors, the killers, everyone played super fantastically, and especially in that last match, everybody did play very well. It was just... the twins did a couple things a little bit better. The survivors made a couple of crucial mistakes, and wow, that was wonderful. And of course, thank you so much for letting me commentate with you. It was so fun. This was our first time together. I think we did great.
I think we did as well, so definitely looking forward to having you back here again in the future. But, with that being said, we do have another match starting up in just 30 minutes. This time, I believe we're going to be seeing the little root guard joined by all four Domo. And I believe we are going to be seeing Odium versus Golden Wolves. So this is going to be a very, very exciting match indeed. So definitely make sure to stop on by and say hi. Like I said, just another 30 minutes from now. But before we do go, where would we find you next time you are live, friend?
Well, you can find me and my sister at JuniKoh. That is twitch.tv/JuniKoh, JUNIKOH. We're sisters, we're variety streamers. We play mostly DBD. We do play some other things as well, though. What you can see on our channel is we have a patented dual screen system. You get to watch a match from two perspectives, mine and hers. And it is really, really cool and super fun. Also, we've got very cute dogs. So if nothing else convinces you to come by, come see the cute puppies.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, dogs are always a pleasant sight, to say the least. But with that being said, yeah, definitely make sure to stop on by. You know, maybe see them get hyper beamed by an alpha Snorlax.
Yes, maybe, probably. With my luck, definitely. Let's be real.
And as always, guys, I am your Commissioner Giltspire. Not only am I a competitive Dead by Daylight player, but I'm also an educational Dead by Daylight player here to teach ghosts how to play Killer and survivors how to play against Killer. I'll be live once again at 7 p.m. CST for some Dead by Daylight, where we're doing some content days. We'll have to figure out what we're going to be doing for Monday. But on that note, we'll see you guys in just a little bit.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.